Well, welcome everybody. It's so nice to see all the people that Teresa and Joseph and Paul know in Antigonish. It's great that we're all gathered here. And so I just wanted to tell you a little bit about how this will go. My name is Anne Simpson. And as I talk through this mic, I feel like I'm hearing my voice about 3 or 4 times. So bear with me. Um, what's going to happen is I'm going to do a short intro so that you hear about Teresa's accomplishments. And then she's going to do some readings from the book. Not too many, but a few just to give you a sense of it. And then we will have a Q&A, question and answer. And then Paul is back there. He's manning the table. Oh, yes, he's taking the money, which is what he loves to do. So that's how it will go. And so I'll just introduce Teresa. She was diagnosed with breast cancer at the age of 36 and experienced the change, the direction of her life. And it inspired her to write her first book, which was called I Have Breast Cancer, What Now? And that book was a finalist in the International Book Awards. She also established a charity. She became a professional coach. And then she pursued a PhD exploring coaching as a tool for patient empowerment and self-leadership. So that's a lot. That's a lot. Just one of those would be fine, but no. She is an ICF Master Certified Coach with 4,000 or more than 4,000 hours of experience. And I just wanted to say, she didn't really want me to say this, but I'm going to. In 2019, she received the European Patient Champion Award. Yeah, it's wonderful. It's really wonderful. And all of those experiences came together and she gathered them together. And as she wrote this book, Navigate Cancer, Coaching for Resilience. So please welcome Teresa Ferrero.
First of all, thank you, everybody. It's amazing to have you all here. So I will start with some readings, as Anne said, and we'll see how the evening goes. The first one is about me and my experience when I had cancer, and it was actually one of the reasons that drove me to start writing. During my breast cancer journey, I was acutely aware of the weight behind every decision I made. Alongside my close circle, my husband, a few close friends, and my medical team, we carefully considered each choice. Whether it was choosing a wig, moisturizing my skin during chemotherapy and radiotherapy, or planning my diet and exercise. I stayed in control. I took part in decisions about my treatment. Yet, after 8 rounds of chemotherapy, I felt my endurance slipping. It was time to face surgery. My husband and I, still riding the optimism from the chemotherapy success, went into the surgeon's office, expecting more good news. Instead, we were hit by a harsh reality. The surgeon disagreed with some of what other doctors had said, declaring that I would need to undergo a full mastectomy, just in case. Just in case of what? We asked. There could be encapsulated cancer cells in the margins where the tumor was, she said. I want to play it safe. Since I was too exhausted to speak up, my husband, who I trusted to speak on my behalf, stepped in and began negotiating with the surgeon, suggesting an exploratory surgery to check the margins. If they were clean, there would be no need for a full mastectomy. To our surprise, the surgeon agreed, but with an unexpected condition. Fine, but we will still be removing the lymph nodes. That is non-negotiable. We questioned why, especially since an MRI had already shown that my lymph nodes were clean. It is protocol, she replied flatly. Desperate, we even offered to sign waivers releasing her from liability. She wouldn't budge. Her final words hit hard. If you don't like it, you can find another hospital. Technically, she gave me a choice, but by then I was so drained I couldn't face the thought of starting again with a new doctor. That is when it hit me. She had abused her authority and taken away my power. I knew that removing the lymph nodes carried the risk of lymphedema. When I voiced my concerns, the surgeon brushed them off, saying age and fitness made the risk minimal. We tried scheduling another meeting to discuss it, hoping to change her mind, but she refused. Months after surgery, my arm began to swell. The emotional pain was worse than anything else I had experienced during my cancer journey. I felt helpless, betrayed, ignored, and torn apart by a decision that wasn't mine. If I had honestly believed lymph node removal was necessary, I might have accepted the risk, but I hadn't, and that made the frustration unbearable. That experience taught me something important. Treatment decisions affect us, not the doctors or anyone else. It's our body, our health, our life. Whether we find the courage to speak up or let someone else take the lead, the outcome is always easier to live with when we have weighed our options and made peace with the decision beforehand. Now I'm going to share Leo's story. By the way, all the stories that I'm sharing are real stories from some of my clients that I've been working with and doing coaching with. And this story from Leo is about loss, the importance of loss, how to grieve it and how to really give it the importance it has. When Leo began chemotherapy, he knew the coming months would bring major changes. He was prepared for the fatigue, the blood tests, the medical appointments. What he didn't expect was how deeply it would affect him to stop going for his morning run to adjust to the treatment's demands. For years, jogging had been his ritual, a way to clear his mind, connect with his body, and start the day with a sense of control. At first, he dismissed the sadness. It's just exercise, he told himself. But in time, he realized it meant more. It symbolized the loss of rhythm, autonomy, and the version of himself that felt strong and reliable. It was also the loss of a space where he felt free. By listening to that grief and giving it the space, Leo began to understand what he truly needed. That gentle self-awareness eventually helped him create new routines, which grounded him once again, not in the past, but in who he was becoming. Now I'm going to share Joanne's story, which is very powerful and close to me. And it shows the power of hope and of believing in what comes next and what you can create and design for yourself. Joanne was diagnosed with cancer at 30, shortly after getting married and starting a new job. Her journey was long and grueling, stretching over 4 years of treatment, including a bone marrow transplant. To minimize the risk of relapse, she lived with a partial bone marrow rejection. a constant battle with illness, chronic pain, and lingering side effects. Throughout those 4 difficult years, Joanne lived with the fear of dying. Cancer was no longer something that happened to other people. It was now a part of her life. Yet, she chose to embrace it without allowing it to steal her future. She had to grieve the loss of specific dreams, particularly the hope of becoming a mother, a role she had envisioned for herself since childhood. Despite this profound loss, Joanne found a way to integrate her new reality. She transformed her experience into something meaningful, becoming a coach for other people facing cancer. This purpose allowed Joanne to honor what she had lost in her life and live her fully. By coaching other people with cancer, she shares her hard-won wisdom and energy, making a lasting impact on the journeys of those she helps. Now we are going to move to Gemma. And the book talks a lot about what an empowered patient is. And Gemma is a great example of that. Gemma's journey exemplifies the power of taking charge of your healthcare. Diagnosed with breast cancer at 42, she faced a tough decision after her initial surgery: whether to undergo a secondary procedure to manage lymphedema in her arm, a complication from her first operation. Rather than hesitating or deferring to others, Gemma made a bold decision to prioritize her well-being. I met her after her recovery to learn more about her experience, as I was considering a similar path. Gemma embodied the empowered patient. She was informed, thoughtful, and decisive. 9 years later, our paths crossed again. By then, I was leading coaching groups for people with cancer, and Gemma had joined us because her cancer had metastasized. Despite the progression of her illness, she remained actively engaged and unwavering in her commitment to her journey and to supporting other people with cancer. She described her approach to her medical team with a simple yet powerful statement: "I am their CEO. They all work for me." And this final story, this is Jennifer. And Jennifer illustrates how cancer can really help you transform your life and build new dreams. I think of Jennifer, a vibrant mother of 3 adopted children. She had overcome 2 cancer diagnoses, which led to removal of her ovaries. When she began coaching sessions with me, she was still having regular checkups, anxious before each one, hoping for good news for herself and her family. Yet, despite everything, Jennifer expressed gratitude for her cancer. Before her diagnosis, she had been paralyzed by fear. The idea of enduring pregnancy once, let alone 3 times, seemed impossible, with too much pain and too much risk for her. Adoption hadn't crossed her mind back then. But being unable to conceive was a challenge that opened new doors. Adoption led her to a more nurturing and fulfilling life than she had imagined. And I would like to finish saying something that I wrote here. I believe that living fully means committing to yourself across every dimension. It is seizing the time we have and dedicating it to pursuits that light us up inside.
Thank you so much for that, Teresa. I'm just thinking of that quote. Maybe you would read that to us one more time, the last thing that you read.
I believe that living fully means committing to yourself across every dimension. It is seizing the time we have and dedicating it to pursuits that lights us up inside.
Beautiful. Thank you. That's wow. I need that on the fridge. Uh, so Teresa, what did you do then at that point in time when you were there with Joseph and the surgeon, and you had to go through these procedures? And so how did that start you off on the journey?
It was a catalyst for me to connect with my strength and realize that this was unacceptable. You couldn't let others take your power from you and decide for you when it's your life. So I had this feeling of, I need to change it. I need to help others overcome this situation if they ever feel like me, and find the resources inside them to really step up and say, no, this is not what I want for myself.
Mm-hmm. And then, so it was at that point that you decided to become a coach?
It was a bit later.
Mm-hmm.
I decided to become a coach because right before when I finished my cancer, let's go back a bit, when I recovered, I wanted to be a mom,
Mm-hmm.
which was kind of tough because with chemotherapy, it's a big challenge. I succeeded, as you could see. But society was against it. I had so many people telling me and writing me posts saying, you're so selfish. You can leave an orphan in this world. You only think about yourself. And again, I thought, well, I am able to overcome this challenge, but other people would listen to that rather than, following their dreams. How can we change it?
Mm-hmm.
I created a charity to help women become mothers after breast cancer. And when I did that, I realized that I needed to have some professional training
Mm-hmm.
to accompany them and walk alongside them. That's how I became a coach. So it was really to help women with breast cancer.
Mm-hmm.
But when I got into coaching, I fell in love with it. So
Yeah.
it was like, I want to do this full time,
Yeah.
both with people with cancer and also with executives and leaders.
Okay, so that really does help us to see the whole picture. And I just want you to take us through. Somebody is coming to you. They have been newly diagnosed with cancer. They're afraid. They're maybe saying, why me? And so how do you help them at that point?
Yeah. Thank you for that question. Normally, this part of the why me, there's behind this need to vent
Mm-hmm.
and to really take out all that pain.
Mm-hmm.
And it's part of the grief curve, right? To feel the injustice, the anger. And once we are there, I explain that, yes, I'm listening and I'm also helping work, because we are here to work,
Mm-hmm.
to work on themselves. And coaching is not about the why. It's not about the past. It's about the how and the what. So you are where you are. This, we can't change it. You have cancer. Now, how do you want to go through this experience? What do you want to do about it? What is the life you want to build? The experience you want to, experience, if I can say that. How do you want others to walk with you? How do you want them to be there for you? That's you who can decide. That's your own power, and you can learn to do it. So I explain also that we are going to tap into their inner resources. It's not about what I teach them, because I'm not teaching anything. I am helping them find their way to find their own answers.
Well, I would love to be coached by, but I don't have cancer. You have a story on, I think it's page 151, of a project manager, and this person takes control. You don't have to tell us who this. You're laughing. takes control of the situation, does the research, does everything that's, important to do.
Yeah.
And so, kind of remains in control. And so what's your answer to that?
Okay. You can imagine that that person is me. And I'm not really proud of how I handled that situation, but that I learned afterwards. Now, being in control is, for many of us, what we call a secure base. And a secure base is something in our lives that offers that protection and confidence. So it's okay wanting to be in control as long as that is not a trap. What I've observed is that when you are going through cancer, even if you are not in control because you are not controlling, you are driving, not others. So it's not about you controlling. It's about you being the one who is really taking the decisions. And then what happens, happens. But it's not others imposing. It is you deciding.
Okay. So in other words, the person you're coaching makes a choice.
Always.
Always makes a choice.
Always makes a choice.
And it's not just for the people that you're coaching, this book, Navigate Cancer. It's for health professionals. It's for cancer care nurses. It's for, what's your audience, would you say?
Yeah, it's for all of them. And it's also for leaders and executives and organizations. Because working so much as I work in the business world, what I realized and what I would like it to happen and to see is that companies really own some responsibility on what their employees are going through. So if as an employee I have cancer, I would like my company to support me. How? By offering coaching and also by offering my team the support they need to know what to do, what to say, how to be there for me. Because when you work with people, often they try to help, but they don't know what to say. And the way they try to help is not always what we need to hear. We need something else. So training those teams and training the organization to learn how to be more compassionate and at the same time to dare to be there is also part of my commitment.
And you do most of the coaching, not for the business school in Switzerland, but most of the coaching is done remotely. Is that right?
Yes.
Not face to face.
Yeah. I do both things, but I work a lot remotely. Yeah. A lot when I work with people with cancer, it's almost always is remotely because we adapt to those times when they are feeling better.
Right.
And they also feel safer when they are at home.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I know that I've been looking through the book, and I know that you have a lot of strategies and exercises throughout the book that really help. If I were going through cancer, I would want a book like this. And so tell us a little bit about the strategies, the Cancer Compass.
Yeah. Yeah, the book is featuring the Cancer Compass, and the Cancer Compass is a methodology that first came out as a result of all the research during the PhD, and is also embarking you on a journey where you start by discovering what you have inside you, and then you learn that it's about choice. So again, you have the power; nothing is imposed. That takes you to empowerment, to knowing how to deal with that. Self-leadership, you own it. You decide in which direction you want to go. Then we connect with purpose. What is it that I want to do with this?
Yeah.
And the final step is freedom. Because, how do we feel when we know that we are the ones who is driving the car, right? That's what we aim for. And on top of that, each part has many hands-on exercises, because something also that is important to know about coaching is that coaching is not only a nice conversation that we have, even if it's very deep, it's also about action. And action means that I give my clients homework, tasks they work on, so by the end of a session they commit to take into action what they've learned, so it sticks, so that they keep progressing. And those exercises that are here as well, that's the aim of them, to help them keep going, keep moving.
Yeah, it sounds really wonderful. I'm just thinking there are so many who are diagnosed with cancer and they feel isolated, alone, and yet there's this, your coaching, the resources, the book. There's so much that they could access. And I wanted to ask you too about the title for the book launch is Transforming Adversity into Growth. And you've said that some of the people who come to you have had diagnoses that have radically transformed their lives. Sylvania was one.
Silvina.
Sylvina has her story was so compelling.
Yeah.
And could you maybe share that story?
Silvina came to me when she was 40, diagnosed with breast cancer. And she was so mad because her mom had died because of breast cancer and she wasn't accepting it. Of course, but she was extremely mad and happy. And through coaching, she found peace. And to the extent that she found ways to transform that adversity into growth, she allowed herself to live her own dreams and leave anger aside, to the extent that something she hadn't found in years, which is a partner, she found her then. And together they were architects, and she helped him make his dreams come true. So he wanted to have his own house. She helped him build his house. Months later, years later, she contacted me again. The cancer had metastasized, and we were working, and at some point she passed. And her husband or partner, he sent me a message. He contacted me and we were texting each other. And what he said is, thank you, because thanks to the work you did together, she allowed herself to have a relationship with me. Otherwise, I would have missed her, my dreams. I wouldn't have lived that experience in my life. So that's the impact.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's kind of like what you're looking at is the loss of one life, the gain of another life that, yes, has cancer in it, but there's so much that can be done.
Yeah. And when people say, but they died, that it went wrong because they died. Yes, of course, this is super sad. But we are all gonna die. So the story for me is not about whether you die or live. It's about how the time we are here, we make the most out of it. It's whether we choose to give power to the cancer in this case, so it leads our lives, or we regain that power, so it's us who leads it.
So interesting. I was reading the book, I was getting ready for this, and I was thinking that you could take cancer out of the title and you could say navigate life instead, and it would be a book about navigating life, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
It just so happens that cancer is part of that.
Yeah. And yeah, I have to say that what started as the Cancer Compass now has even evolved. And it's also something that I'm using with leaders for the compass without the cancer word, because it's a methodology that works. It's a journey that works for everybody who is, going through adversity, which I guess happens to all of us at some point in life.
That's right.
Yeah.
Is there anything because I've only touched on the book a little bit, but what else would you like to say about this book. It's a milestone for you. It's your second book. It's important that you got here.
It is very important for me to get here. The book is better than I would have expected. It grew beyond who I am, and it has a life that I had so many people helping, giving feedback. So it's grown far beyond what I would have imagined. And thanks to it, it's starting a new, probably a new period of my life, new opportunities, and let's see where it takes me. I really believe on this work, and I really hope it helps many people.
I think it will.
Thank you.
So, thank you, Teresa.
Thank you.
Are there any questions that you have for Teresa before we?
So some people find me because they Google something and my page shows up, and we have what we call a chemistry call first to see if we can work together. They like it and we work together. Sometimes it's the companies who send people as well. Yeah. And sometimes I had doctors who also referred me to their patients and started working with me.
If it were somebody in Canada, could you work with, somebody in Antigonish, say?
Absolutely. We work remotely.
Okay.
Silvina was in Argentina.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah, no problem. And many of my clients are in Europe, Asia as well. So yeah.
Any other questions? Any other questions?
Teresa, thank you so much for your talk. It was wonderful.
And thank you for that question, because it's very, very important. Yeah, for me, before choice, there's self-awareness. As long as you are aware that you're handing your, I used the word power for this because for me it's very visual. So as long as you realize that you're letting others choose for you and you are aware of it, that's fine. Because it's a choice. The problem for me comes when you don't want that to happen, but others take that as a right because for you, you're sick. You don't know what you need. You don't know what you want. I know best. And that's when they need to be able to speak up.
Approach can be brought into the medical school system? Because it sounds like it's not actually there yet.
Yeah, what a great question. We need to be able to empower our doctors so they feel it's okay if patients ask questions and if they don't feel that it's something personal. Let's put it this way. And they need training for that. How we can do it? Some schools are doing it, especially in Canada. Canada is well developed. There are universities where they are offering, they have cancer survivors who go and talk to the doctors and explain how they could interact and what the patients might need. Teaching or showing them how to coach, that's another step. Probably we'll get there. I hope. That is answer to your question?
Yes, I'm just wondering, do you yourself go to medical schools and interact, or other coaches do that?
Yeah, I'm teaching in some master degrees. Yeah, there's still work to do. But I'm hopeful. I'm getting some, yes. Something that normally when I work with them, again, what we work on is creating awareness. First, they are the ones who want to be open and know how to handle the situation, because often they feel insecure or not not comfortable. So we start by coaching that person and helping them find what they would feel comfortable saying, probably by transporting them into what it would be like for them to be in that situation and what they would like to receive from the other. And then when it's about the team, often we create space for the team, again, to vent and talk about how they are feeling when someone else has cancer, because it has a strong impact on the team. And sometimes teams are not allowed, they don't allow themselves to talk because they feel like, how could I complain if I'm not the one with cancer? But any emotion is fair and any emotion needs space. So that person who maybe is going to have to work 2 more hours a day because someone else has cancer, well, they have the right to be upset. So venting, working together, finding strategies, also communicating with the person with cancer helps a lot. And we mediate, we talk a lot, and that helps a lot define new ways of working for everybody where they don't feel the blame or the uncomfort of, or the resentment even.
I'm just so thrilled that we have this book. I remember 2 years ago, 3 years ago, so I walked with Teresa on the landing, and that fateful winter. But Teresa was starting to write this at the time, and she shared with me the table of contents, and I think she thought that I might be more of a help than I was.
You were.
But it's just so remarkable to think that 2 years ago, this was just really an idea and she had sort of mapped it out. But to see it now as a book is really exciting. So we're just thrilled for you, Teresa.
Thank you. Thank you so much.